Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning for the Mayor's Press Conference on Education. I'm Marjorie Fields Harris, Press Secretary to the Mayor Ross Baraka. This morning, the Mayor is joined by Chief Education Officer, Dr. Lauren Wells. The Mayor will make a brief statement, and then after that, we'll take questions from the media. Thank you.
Good morning. Just want to first thank everybody for coming out. Just wanted to, before school began, officially, we wanted to make a few statements about the direction that we're moving in terms of the city, and talk a little bit about what we think should happen around One Newark and enrollment assistance sites that we are getting ready to create here in the city. With us, a few community partners, and with Newark Public Schools together, these enrollment assistance sites, which I think are very important, that I'd like to get into discussing. But first I just want to say that we are moving full steam ahead towards local control. And in my estimation, I think that a year and a half tops is what we should be looking at in order to bring local control back to the city of Newark. The Education Law Center believes that we can have it by next summer. I am in full support of that. If we can push the Newark Educational Success Board to make that transition happen, we are definitely optimistic about the Education Law Center's timeline. We want to stay true to that, and we're going to work and do everything we can to make that a reality for Newark residents. I think it's about time that happens. I am happy and positive that we are now in a space where we're talking about local control, a transitional space. We begin to talk about community control of our schools. It's extremely important, and we haven't been in this space for 20 years, and I think it's a victory for Newark families in the Newark community to begin having these discussions around local control. God willing, it'll be sooner than later. Also local control looks like to us, it looks like community schools. It gives us the opportunity to have an elected school board that actually has authority and power to make decisions about their children's lives, about what's happening in their community, about what's happening in their city. We are going to move completely towards trying to organize the resources in this city, city resources, private resources, philanthropic resources, toward community schools. Community schools have been effective all over the country. We've seen consistent levels of success in Cincinnati, in Tulsa, in Nashville, graduation rates improving, test scores improving, student engagement improving, all around community schools where cities have organized all of their resources around these specific schools, and they've witnessed enormous levels of success, and that's the direction that we're trying to go in Newark. Lastly, we know that the main reason that I wanted to call everybody here together is because we want to set up these enrollment assistance sites. And enrollment assistance sites is simply us trying to deal with the fact that One Newark is not working. It's not working. It's been broke for a very long time. I think that the present folks are beginning to see how damaged it really is. And so we are still advocating that people should be allowed to go to their neighborhood school. And there are a lot of people who are still not enrolled. There are a lot of people who still are not getting into their neighborhood school. So what we want to do is set up enrollment assistance sites in every ward in this city where residents who are having trouble at the enrollment center, or having trouble trying to get kids in their neighborhood schools, or have kids scattered around, or have issues with special needs kids, that we can help them in conjunction with the district and community folks to begin to troubleshoot some of those problems right there where they are, so we won't have the kind of chaos that occurred a couple of times when One Newark first began. So we are absolutely trying to be proactive, and so we don't want a long line outside of the second floor of City Hall of parents coming, trying to find out, or going to the third floor to see their council people trying to find placement for their child. What we want to do is set up sites, maybe in some local churches, local community centers in the neighborhood, and begin to troubleshoot parents' issues in the east, north, south, central, west wards right there on site. They can come and we can help them get their kids in their neighborhood schools and their community schools where they live. I still am a firm believer that if you live across the street from the school, your first opportunity and choice should be given to you to go to the school across the street from your house, right? So if you live across the street from the school and you're being forced to go across town, I think that's, completely incorrect. It's inconvenient. It's not democratic in my mind. And so we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that that takes place. Until, One Newark is completely gone, which I think is the only answer to this problem that we have. We're going to set up these sites in order to kind of help people get through the hardship of the One Newark process that's been very difficult and cumbersome for a lot of Newark residents. So I do want to say that the district has been helpful in saying that they would provide us with individuals to assist us in some of the things that we're doing. So we are going to set up our own folks from City Hall. We are going to put community partners involved, and the district has agreed to put at least one person in each ward at those enrollment assistance sites to help us navigate parents through all of the bureaucracy and the other issues that they face in trying to put kids in the schools. I think it takes a lot of pressure off some of our aides here who have been trying to troubleshoot this since school ended this year, trying to make sure kids have placements for this upcoming school year. So this is going to happen, and we're going to start August 27th, and we're going to go all the way up to September the 10th. We are going to dedicate some of our resources here in City Hall to make sure that we assist these parents and getting these kids where they belong, particularly kids who live in neighborhoods that have been taken out of neighborhoods and kids that have been placed in sites erroneously or placed there and the school does not provide the services for that child, i.e. ESL, bilingual, special needs, all kinds of specific needs that kids have that they've been placed at a school that where those services do not exist for them. We want to send them back to their neighborhood school. And so we're going to work to make that happen. There's also an issue that's not on this that I'm going to bring up. That's in regards to overcrowding at neighborhood schools themselves. And I think that the district should do an audit of schools, particularly in places where they're border cities. We need to do an audit to make sure that Newark students are in these schools, that they actually live in Newark, in both public and charter schools, to make sure that these kids actually live in the city and their parents actually live in the city. And secondly, there's overcrowding in schools because we are feeling the effect from when schools were closed and turned over to some of the charters. Some of the grades were removed, and because of those grades were removed, those kids have been sent to other schools that actually have no seats for them because there's overcrowding in those schools because those grades were removed. We have to put those grades back. And I believe that if the charter wants to take the school and the district turn the school over them, they should take all of the grades. And so it's important for us to make sure that we make the school system whole. So we have a whole list of people that are coming down here that are complaining that the school that they're trying to go to in their neighborhood or outside of their neighborhood is overcrowded now because the school they went to in their neighborhood no longer takes those grades. And because they don't take those grades, they have to go to school across town or in another neighborhood, and it's providing a serious inconvenience to parents. And so if the district believes that the charter can run the school better, and I don't have any issue with that, if the charter believes they can run the school better, that's fine. But they should take all of the grades and not part of the grades. They should take everybody from K to 8 and not K to 3 or K to 4 and inconvenience the rest of the city. So that's where we are, and we need to bring all parties to the table to discuss that. That is a whole nother discussion that we need to have about how we right-size the schools in this city. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
Brenda Flanagan from NJTV News, good morning. Are you in agreement, or do you have Chris Cerf's agreement on what looks to be pretty much a dismantling of the whole One Newark plan?
Well, he's agreed to like I said earlier, use some of the district's resources by personnel and helping us at the enrollment assistance sites in each ward. So I think that that means that he understands that there's some problems with One Newark and that they need to be fixed. The severity of those problems, I think we may have some disagreement about, but I think that he agrees that there are some problems, and I think that One Newark totally should be gone. I don't know what his position is on that. You need to ask him about it, but ultimately, there are some issues that we need to work out.
Does this mean, though, that essentially you're going to be reshuffling a lot of the kids that may have been assigned to other schools under One Newark for this coming fall?
No, what we're saying is that there are kids who don't have an assignment now. And we want to make sure that we can get them an assignment in their neighborhood school if that's what they want. People who have already chosen another school, I think that we're gonna, and they're comfortable where they are, we leave those people alone. And everybody else that have issues, we want to work those issues out. Whether they've been placed or not placed, we're going to try to work those issues out.
Okay. The district is trying to paint the picture that things are very different this year than they were last year, this time. That enrollment is going a lot smoother. Do you find that to be true so far?
Well, there's still issues. I think the process at the enrollment center is looking a lot better than it did when it was first opened up, the chaos that existed there. But there's still the fundamental issues that we are seeing. That's why we're having these enrollment assistance sites. Fundamental issues of parents who live across the street or around the corner from schools who are being sent across town, elementary age kids who are being sent across town, whose parents have to go to work in the morning, have to find a way to get their kid across town to school and to work at the same time. Kids that are in multiple different schools around the city, elementary age kids that are in multiple. So we're not talking about high school kids here. We're talking about elementary age children that are scattered around the city that nobody else's parents in any other city would have to deal with or will put up with, for that matter. So we're trying to right size that, and those issues still exist. We still have issues of kids that are in schools that don't have the special needs services in those schools where they have been placed, as well as ELL services. And so we have to right size and fix that as well. So there are a lot of issues that exist today. Just because the person changed, the issues that existed still are here because they've become endemic to a system that was created. And so we're trying to undo some of that stuff and fix some of it. I mean, I know it's difficult to say we have to fix things without painting a rosy it's a contradiction because they painted this rosy picture of the last superintendent, how great everything was. The fact that we have to fix things speaks to some of the issues that took place under her leadership.
Mayor, I know you said previously that you felt with the transition that the charter schools that are already here would be grandfathered in. You wouldn't want to see them taken out of the city, but do you feel, you said that at the school advisory board meeting.
Okay.
So how would you like to see a moratorium on new charter schools coming in?
I think that the city obviously needs to have a discussion about the financial burden that's putting on Newark Public Schools. I think we need to have a discussion about that, absolutely. And any person that is cares about the kids in this school, no matter of this city, no matter where they are, because it's whether we talk about 75% of the students, 80% or 60% where they think they're going, those kids are still in the majority of the public schools. So it's important for people to have a discussion about the financial difficulty that's being put on traditional public schools at the expansion of charter schools arbitrarily without any discussion about what's going to happen to everybody else. So yes, we do need to have a discussion about that, and we need to have an open and honest discussion about it. And anybody that's more interested in kids than they are about their own specific program will be willing to have this discussion. But I think the point that you should be thinking about is what I said earlier, is the charters that took public schools, right? So the district made a decision and said that these schools aren't working. And because they said these schools aren't working, that they thought that the charters could do these schools better. And I'm not making an argument of whether they could do it better or not. What I'm saying is, if they could do it better, then let them do it better, right? So they need to take all of the kids and not part of the kids. And because part of the kids created a problem for the city, it created a problem for us. Like, it created a problem for the majority of kids and parents that are in this city who have their kids in traditional public schools in a neighborhood. If I went to Hawthorne or if I went to Alexander or any of these schools or Madison Avenue and I was in the 7th grade, I couldn't go there next year because there was no 7th grade. I had to go to another school somewhere else that wasn't necessarily better than the school I was at in the first place. And so I went to that school, but those kids already got a 7th grade. They already have a 7th grade in that school. So now I'm going into a place that I'm being forced to be put in, and it's causing overcrowding in that school. So the problem now is a serious problem that we have to begin talking about, and not a political issue about charter versus traditional public schools. That's not what we have in this discussion here today about. And I know you want to make it about that, but this discussion today is about how do we fix public schools here in the city of Newark? How do we right-size them? How do we get kids in the schools where they belong in? And how do we make sure we don't have this overcrowding in the district? There's a waiting list, not just at charter schools, there's a waiting list at public schools in Newark too. There's a long waiting list at schools that shouldn't be, that we can fix. And we should be talking about how do we fix this, right? And get out of these foxholes that people created for us and begin to fix it right.
What questions can parents come to these sites with? I know you discussed it a little bit.
Yep.
Since you have to work kind of within the framework of the One Newark plan in some respects, I mean, is it only the parents whose kids have not been assigned or have no assignment
Yes.
that they can come, or is it also parents who are upset that their kids are going to schools, across town?
Well, Newark, so obviously, whatever we say is going to be, everybody going to show up. So, at the end of the day, it's both. So there are people who do not have assignments. They probably should go to the enrollment center first and see what the situation is. We are troubleshooting, so if you have an assignment that you think that is a problem for you, you should come into the assistance site and help us. And even if you don't have an assignment, I think you should, if you want to come to the assistance site, we will help you as well navigate the enrollment center, navigate whatever it is that we can help you out with. Short of me going down to the enrollment center like I did before and trying to yell and scream in the room to get things together, we're going to be proactive and try to set up opportunities for parents to help their children and families out.
You mentioned earlier that the district has agreed to put at least personnel, put a body in each support site. Have they also agreed to help get the word out to parents and households that these support sites exist directly to the households that they're connected to?
I would hope so. They haven't made a formal kind of commitment to us that they would advertise it, but we're going to do that anyway. And I think everybody in here is going to do it too. But I would imagine that if they're committing resources, that they would tell people that these enrollment sites, assistance sites, are open as well. So it's helpful. I think this helps the district, right? So this is just not a thing of us saying One Newark is broken. It also helps the district with all of the troubleshooting that they have that they can't deal with, that we can help them with. But ultimately, we have to remember that none of this would be taking place if One Newark didn't exist.
The district is apparently looking at a budget gap, a shortfall that could run, between $10 and $50 million. People are expecting that there will be teacher layoffs. You would like to see them add back those grades so that the kids can go to school. How are those two going to work together? Obviously, there's going to be a problem getting enough teachers if you're going to be adding grades.
There's enough teachers. They all downtown. So I think one of the things that the district is going to have to do is all of those teachers that they put on that EWPS list, they're going to have to put those teachers in a classroom. And, God has a sense of humor, man, So ultimately, they're going to, the interesting thing is that the people who created this problem are actually being charged with the task of fixing it, That's why, I love God, brother. At the end of the day, these folks that are in those rooms that created the budget deficit that you're talking about in the first place, the EWPS list that created the budget deficit, that added to the budget deficit, which was a practice that, was questionable at best, where they knew they were losing money year in year in year, that they continued to do philosophically, hanging on to something that made no sense. And so now you have a budget crisis because of that room, And now, in order to deal with the budget crises, you have to put those people back in those places. And I think the superintendent, the interim superintendent, understands that those folks have to be put back. Whether philosophically or ideologically agrees with it or not, pragmatically and economically, you have no choice but to put those people back into the schools. And they can't afford to do that again. Right, so by virtue of the fact that we in this economic problem in the school district, there goes the turnaround school thing. The renew school model has to go out the door with that.
Mayor, I just have a question. You mentioned earlier that hopefully the city will get local control back by next year, this time next year possibly. What is the roadmap that's been set for that? And what are the kind of benchmarks that the state has imposed that the city has to meet in order to have the schools back in a year?
Well, the state hasn't imposed any benchmarks on us outside of what CUSAC suggests anyway. The Educational Success Board, the transition team that I like to call it, is working out those issues of what would be the most efficient and expeditious way to get the schools back into the hands of the people of the city. The SERF have said it many times publicly that his job is to put himself out of a job. I think the Success Board is working towards that end. I think they've had one meeting so far, and they're gonna continue to meet to get us in that place. What I said was the Education Law Center said that it's feasible for us to get this to happen by this time next year or next summer. If that can happen, we are wholeheartedly embracing that, and we wanna move quickly in that direction. And I don't have to tell the people on a Success Board what to do. You know, I know that's the next thing. I'm trying to anticipate some of these questions, but because the people that we put on there are very brilliant. You know, they have their own mind. They know exactly what Newark needs, the direction we should go in. I'm incredibly comfortable with what they're gonna do, and any support that they can get from this office, we're gonna lend them the support. But we are in full support of whatever it is that they're gonna come up with it for us. The board doesn't have a chairman yet, as far as I know. I think they're still working that out. I do have a preferred candidate, but I'd rather not say. I don't wanna muddy the waters in that instance, right? I don't wanna politically make it happen or not happen because I said something about it. But you know, ultimately, I think the person is going to be, you know, whoever they vote on is somebody we're going to work with and deal with in order to move us into the place that we need to go.